Hey, this is Dor. Today I wanted to talk to you about how to bring fantasy and imagination into your own life. So when I was really young, I used to play D&D with my friend, Dungeons and Dragons. And we used to, read all these books about dragons and castles where everyone thought we are super nerds. And today it's like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, it's became really famous, but I'm actually 35 now. When I was a kid, having all this imagination with like swords and everything, after you're like 8, okay, I'm talking about until we were like 17. So it was a little bit outside of the, modern culture thinking, outside of the social conditioning. And today I'm here in this beautiful castle up at Sintra, Portugal, and full of fog. And it really gives you the scene to think about, wow, what can happen here? It's like, what happened in this old castle? Like, what kind of knights lived here? What kind of kings? And it brings up the question of how can you bring down all this imagination and fantasy into your own life so you can use it. So you can use it to do stuff in your life. You can use it to overcome your challenges in life, to create new possibilities for yourself. Even you can use that for healing. So when I give healing process, sometimes I use this fantasy and imagination. So for me, when I was a kid, a lot of things bother me. I think like every kid, sometimes you have these bullies, those bullies in class, and I had a lot of problems with them because I wasn't this kid that's gonna just sit around and get bullied. I was like answering and try to fight them back, and like if they would pick on other small kids, I would like I was rise up and like defend kids. And I remember getting bullied about defending other kids, and I'm sure I was also bullied myself at some points in my life. But there was all these things as a kid that you suffer, is maybe some stuff from being in school, just being in this in like this school box, that like they sit you on a chair and you're this kid. For me, I was this kid with all this energy, and then I need to sit on a chair all day and study all this stuff that I don't care about. And I had other plans in life, even as a kid. So suddenly when I started playing these Dungeons and Dragons, and it's like a game, it's like a fantasy game, role playing. You play a role, you play a character based on Lord of the Rings. That's what it is, basically. You can search more about that. Suddenly there's this whole new world opening up to you. You can play this character, and this character has possibilities. It has so many things that they can do. And then from being this kid who is just, his world is very fixed. Like, there's a box, you need to go to school every day, you come back from school, you have another frame that you need to be in, and everyone's telling you what to do, even though you have other plans, and that's a way to escape. And I think the kids today, for example, they have a lot of, for example, TV or even video games that are fantasy, but there's a lot of rules inside. And with this like Dungeons and Dragons game, you can really open everything. Like the whole world is open. You can be whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. It's like, for example, I'm playing this character of a thief, of a rogue, and a few of my friends are playing warriors or magicians or priests, and they have all these magic powers, and you have all these skills. And then there's one person that is like the dungeon master, and he asks you, okay, you reach into this castle and you need to find the treasure inside the castle, but the castle is closed. What you gonna do right now? And then you have this skill of picking up locks. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the door and try to pick that lock. And then the dungeon master tells you, you can't pick this lock. It's out of your level, but the window is open. You want to climb to the window. So then you start, okay, I'm going to climb to the window, and you have these rules like a video game in which you check if you made it to the window. So you're throwing up a cube to see if you hit the number to find out. And then you can be creative. You can, okay, we're going to set up a fire in the stable. So here in this place, I think that was the stables over there. So the group, the team, you and your friend, you're thinking about creative ideas. Yeah, let's set a fire in the stables, and then everyone from the castle gonna open the door and run down, and then we're gonna enter the castle. So it's like really endless possibilities and imagination. Now, I want you to, for a second, imagine this in your own life right now. So I have a lot of clients and people that I work with, or even people that I talk to a lot, that they feel stuck. And they feel they're in a box. There's not many options around. Like, I know it's like I'm waking up in the morning and the world is closing down on me, like COVID and everything, and there's not a lot of options right here. And then imagine having all these possibilities all of a sudden. And how do you get there? How do you get to these possibilities? So a big part of it, and I'm talking a lot about self-development, possibility management, but a big part of it is like having this imagination and using fantasy as a tools to what is possible for you. So for example, when I can do it with clients, just this role playing, just like, okay, you're stuck right now, what are your options? So I can put NLP into that, and I can put possibility management into that, but it's basically what are your possibilities right now by using your imagination. Or even sometimes let's take a fantasy that you're this other person, you're not this person that is stuck here. What are your possibilities from there? And so that's how the imagination and fantasy meets me right now in my life as a coach, or in my life right now is thinking about new possibilities. For example, I started to do all these workshops here in Portugal, and then these workshops kind of stopped because of COVID. And then like, okay, what's my possibilities right now? I'm not gonna stay stuck. I'm not gonna say, okay, so what can I do? I can start doing stuff online, and I can maybe think about new creative ways to do things. So you can go to nature basically and have the same experiences that people 5,000 years ago had, or 2,000 years ago. For me, walking in Jerusalem a lot of time, I get this sense of like there's almost these people walk these streets, like this street right here. You can feel it's like the ancient spirit of it, and then that can help you while you're in nature or while you're in old places to connect and synchronize this whole like possibility, fantasy, imagination world to your world right now. Because when I'm walking in the street right here, it's like, what is the difference? What is the difference between like someone that walked here 2,000 years ago and me? Yeah, we have the same equipment. I have this umbrella and he had the sword or something. But can really connect to this, to the essence of like spirit and nature with this feeling, and it helps you to get out of the box. So you have your box when you're at home, and you have the things that you have your computer, your TV, and the couch, and the things that you touch, and all these, your energy goes to that things. Suddenly when you go to nature and you come to a place like that, like an ancient castle or something like that, or it doesn't have to be, you can just go to a river next to your home, or this field, and maybe there's like this stone over there, and this stone or rock, they've been there for a long time. So it may sound weird, but if you sit next to them, you can actually kind of experience and you can use part of it as your imagination and fantasy. Like the first thought, for example. So what do? You for this example, you sit next to this rock, and then you use your imagination and think, wow, there's people sat next to this rock or next to this river 2,000 years ago even, and I wonder how these people were and what do they went through, what were their difficulties. Like we were just talking about upstairs in the castle, like imagine being a knight stuck here all winter doing this watch standing on the wall, and it's so crazy. So from there you open up a window using this imagination and fantasy. You open this window, and then it's like this window leads you to what it can be different from me, the way I think about things. So you open this box. It's like my life is not this, you know, this waking up in the morning, watching Netflix and being on my computer or being depressed. It's like my life can be, you know, this fantasy, this whole fantasy where I can be in life and have all this, you know, imagination and fantasy about things, and to have more possibilities. And nature helps you connect with that. And also, yeah, when you do it, open your box, and then it's like you sit down, suddenly this whole window open up, and then you can ask yourself this question. It's like, what is possible that is totally different than what I think is possible right now? And if you worked on your imagination and stuff you can work on, you get all these answers suddenly. Like, okay, what is possible right now? Imagine, and maybe the first possibility right now is like, oh, I'm home, like I'm depressed, I don't have a job, it's COVID time. Or maybe you sit at home and you're a bit depressed and you feel like the world is closing on you and there's not many options or possibilities. Then you go sit next to this river or a rock, or you go to this ancient place. I'm sure in every country there are several of them. And you just like sit down, you ask yourself, wow, imagining the life that people have back in the day. Maybe there were knights here, kings, farmers. Maybe it was this whole like kingdom. And then from there, like you ask yourself, I wonder how it was to be a farmer sitting next to this river, or be a knight. And then you start to sense into these lives. You can actually sense the energy of how it was to be like that. And from there, it opened up this window of possibilities. And like, yeah, my life is not... Like, imagine someone sitting here 2,000 years from now and thinking about your life. How it was to be just student in Corona time or something. Or a guy without a job in Corona time. Or a woman living in 2021. And then it's like, wow, I wonder what they think about me. And then, like, what can I do with my life from there? It's like, what other possibilities I didn't thought about that I have? And using that imagination and fantasy skill to try to find new ones. So for me, a lot of times it's going to different directions that I didn't thought it's possible. It's like, wow, I can actually, why am I so close in Portugal? Well, actually I can be in everywhere in the world right now. Or now the airport is closed, is like, oh, I can think, oh, I'm stuck here now, the airport is closed because it's COVID. But then I can think, oh, but I actually didn't travel around to see all these beautiful places in Portugal yet. There's so many places I can go to. And if I was in this stuck mindset, it wouldn't, I couldn't think about these new possibilities. But something that helped to loosen that box is that world of fantasy and imagination. So we're coming to an end, and the possibility I want to offer to you is read a fantasy book. Maybe start with Lord of the Rings or The Alchemist. Writing my own book right now. So that's something new for me. So the possibility that I offer you is maybe go read a fantasy book, Lord of the Rings or The Alchemist, and also watch maybe fantasy. You know, there's now a lot of series, and also maybe write something with fantasy in it, or maybe get into Dungeons and Dragons and learn what it is. Maybe join a group. There's a lot of group on Facebook you can you join and then play with them. Maybe buy this computer game like Baldur's Gate. It's a really cool game to start. Maybe Diablo or something like that. and start going into this world of fantasy and imagination. There's a lot of things you can do also with imagination, a lot of role-playing games, even improvisational theater, which is workshops that I do about that. All these things that they're helping you to loosen that box that we think about, and then there's so many possibilities open, and I really wish that you have all these possibilities with you in your life. It can make your life really fantastic, and I hope I see you next time. Thanks.